for Freedom. She will discuss the Youth Misery Index. Ashley is a graduate of St. Anselm's College in New Hampshire. She has been all over cable and broadcast television in recent months. She makes a very good showing. She's in charge of communications for youth with Young Americans for Freedom. And with that, I need not say more. Ashley, it's yours.
Thank you.
She'll make her presentation, and then we have questions. Ms. Pratt.
Thank you, Tony. So, everyone, my name is Ashley Pratt, and I am the Public Relations Officer for Young America's Foundation, and we are based out of Herndon, Virginia, and that's where our headquarters is. So a little bit about our organization before I continue further into the presentation. Young America's Foundation is an educational organization promoting conservative ideas on our nation's campuses through lectures, publications, and conferences. During the past year alone, the Foundation sponsored more than 600 lectures nationwide on college campuses. Young America's Foundation, also known as YAF, stepped forward to save President Reagan's Western White House, Rancho del Cielo, in the spring of 1998 to preserve it as a living monument to Ronald Reagan to pass on his ideas to future generations. President Reagan committed himself to reaching young people with his ideas, a goal that is also central to the Foundation's mission. Other projects of Young America's Foundation include the National Journalism Center, run out of this very building, and Young Americans for Freedom. So now into the main presentation. The Youth Misery Index, or YMI, is an annual project of Young America's Foundation. It is calculated by adding the youth unemployment percentage, average graduating student debt in thousands, and the national debt per capita in thousands. With youth unemployment at an alarming 16.3%, average student debt at $29,400, so 29.4 on the YMI scale, and national debt per capita at $52,948, 52.9 on the YMI scale. Add those numbers up, and the Youth Misery Index comes out to a record high of 98.6. Young people today are faced with saddling debt, rising cost of living, and to make it worse, little to no employment opportunities. This generation is plagued by the burden of massive government debt, more so than any other generation. What does this number mean? Well, like Jimmy Carter's Misery Index, the YMI uncovers some real threats to our nation's prosperity. The government is largely responsible for all three problems. Each indicator can be tied to government action. With the growing presence of government in our daily lives, there appears to be a statistically significant relationship between government expenditures and the Youth Misery Index. So, to break it down a bit further, youth unemployment. The youth unemployment rate as of August of 2013 was 16.3%. The youth unemployment rate has improved ever so slightly over the last 2 years, but this does not mean that things are improving for our nation's young people. Almost 6 million young people between the ages of 16 and 24 are not in school or work and are simply idle, showing that many young people are giving up on finding employment. The number of young people who are leaving the workforce and are not factored into the current unemployment number. Youth unemployment is startling, and this should give us all great pause, because if this large population does not find work, the consequences will be severe for our economy moving forward. The reality is that young people in America and across the world are struggling to find employment, and many college graduates are moving back home while they battle one of the toughest job markets in the last century. Student loan debt. The average graduating student debt was a record-breaking $29,400 for the class of 2013. Student loan debt has risen at an average rate of 6% per year since 2008. At the same time that debt has been going up, colleges across the country have been hiking tuition fees, and families' incomes have been shrinking, making it more accessible for students to access student debt. It should be appalling that 7 in 10 seniors graduate with student loan debt, but this is the new norm. The job market still hasn't recovered, leaving many graduates with little to no income to pay back their loans each month. National debt. The national debt per capita is $52,948, which is the individual share of the rising $17 trillion national debt. Since this study was conducted, the share has actually increased to $54,483. Each young person will inherit a massive share of government debt, and the interest alone is enough to cripple our economic future. As this cost increases, the government will either have to raise taxes or take out more loans to pay the interest, both of which remove capital out of the private sector, further compounding the problem. Young people will be stuck paying for government debt that they had no part in creating, and they'll have to do it with less discretionary income than ever before because of record high levels of student loan debt. All of these factors indicate that young people are the hardest hit by a struggling economy. Under the Obama administration alone, the YMI has increased by 18.1%, the highest increase under any president since the study was first conducted in 1993, making Obama the worst president for youth economic opportunity. Not quite the hope and change that many young people were looking for. Obama's presidency has been one of vast expansion of government